Hi, y'all. So this video, we're going to cover the People's First Initiative. So this was passed on March 25th of 2020. The reference number is IR-2020-59 if you're looking at the IRS website, irs.gov, and want more information. The People's First Initiative was created to help the people who are facing the challenges of COVID-19, but those taxpayers who are looking into tax relief from the IRS or working with the IRS currently, this is a way for them to seek relief on some of those things. So what I mean by that, you guys, if you are on an existing installment agreement with the IRS, if you're looking to get into a new installment agreement, if you have an offer in compromise in place or looking to get a new offer in compromise in place, if you're a non-filer, if you have gotten notices about something, anything, from the IRS, if you've had a lien, a levy, basically, if there's this People's First Initiative covers anything with communications and money due to the IRS. So let's get into it and we'll go over everything. All right, so I want to start with existing installment agreements. So if you are on an installment agreement right now with the IRS, all of your payments that are supposed to be due between April 1st and July 15th are suspended. All right, taxpayers can, who are unable to comply with the terms of an installment payment agreement because of COVID-19, including a direct debit installment agreement, may suspend payment during this period if you prefer. You do have to opt in. Okay? You have to contact the IRS and tell them you want to put your payments on hold. All right, and when you do, the IRS will not default any installment agreement during this period. So meaning, usually if you don't make a payment on your installment agreement, you go into default. They won't default anything during this time period of April 1st to July 15th. All right, new installment agreements. They just want to remind you that if you're going, if you're filing 2019 return or prior and you have a tax liability and you're unable to fully pay it, then you want to go to the irs.gov and look into information to set up a monthly payment agreement with the IRS. This is something that's always available, you guys. Just more people might be looking into this as an option with the current economy. So the next thing I want to talk about is your offers in compromise, OICs. If you're currently involved in an offer in compromise, then here's what's happening. Let me say, offer in compromise, you guys, if you don't know what that is, ignore it right now. But basically what it is, if you have a big tax liability, a lot of times the IRS will allow you to make an offer in compromise saying, for example, I owe $20,000 in tax, but will you take this $10,000 if I pay it all now and we call it good? If that's something that you want to talk about, contact me. But for those of you already involved in an offer in compromise, this is who I need to talk to in this video. All right. So if you turned in your offer in compromise application and it's still pending, all right, the IRS is going to allow you guys until July 15th. The IRS is going to allow you guys until July 15th to provide any of the requested additional information to support that pending application. In addition, the IRS is not going to close any pending OIC requests before July 15th without the taxpayer's consent. So that's to say they might approve your offer in compromise, but they're going to check with you first, make sure it's still valid. If not, they're not going to deny it. They're going to keep it pending until July 15th. Offer in compromise payments. All right. If you're already under an offer in compromise and you have any payments under your agreement that are due, they don't need to be paid until July 15th. Although, you guys, law requires that interest will still continue to accrue on any unpaid balances. So keep that in mind. Delinquent return filings. Normally, if you're in an OIC, an offer in compromise, you cannot be delinquent on your returns. However, the IRS has said they're not going to default on an OIC for those taxpayers who are delinquent in filing their 2018 return. However, taxpayers should file any delinquent 18 returns and their 19 returns on or before July 15th. And new OIC applications. Reminding you guys kind of what I said at the beginning of this section, that the IRS wants to remind you that if you're facing a liability exceeding your net worth, that's the key to an offer in compromise being valid, that your tax liability exceeds your net worth, that the OIC process is designed to resolve outstanding tax liabilities by providing a fresh start. It's not filing bankruptcy, but that's how people kind of like to envision it when you're not in the tax world. It's almost like you're filing bankruptcy with the IRS, so just on your tax liability. I don't think that's a great comparison, but that's how some people like to explain it. But basically what it is if your tax liability due to the IRS is greater than your net worth, they're going to be willing to work with you and take a lesser amount. All right, next, after offer and compromise, we want to talk about non-filers. IRS wants to remind you guys that if you have not filed your 2018 or prior returns, you should. There are more than 1 million households that haven't filed in the last 3 years who actually are owed money. All right, so in this time of needing cash, maybe the IRS owes you money. So file those old returns that are late. You do only have 3 years to file, though. You can only file 3 years back to get a refund. So if you need help with that, contact a tax professional. I'm one, if you didn't know, and we can help you get those filed. All right, if you file them going back and you end up owing money, please, we'll talk about those installment agreements or those OICs. Another reason to file is because the stimulus package that they just passed, the amount you're going to receive or in your eligibility is based on your most recently, either your 19 or your 18 tax return. If you filed your 19 tax return, it's based on that. If not, they'll based on your 18 return. If you filed neither, there's a chance you're not going to see that stimulus check. So one more reason to get your 18 return filed if you haven't already. And then I'm kind of just going to lump everything else together. So if there will be no more field collections right now. The automated liens and levy notices that you normally get, they've been suspended. No debt due to the IRS is going to be sent to their private debt collection and field office or correspondence audits. So if you're going through an audit with either an IRS field agent or through a mail audit, those are no new audits are going to start. Okay. They're going to continue working on refund claims where possible, but no in-person contact. And then the other ones are going to be kind of deemed like as necessary. It sounds like they're really only going to keep working on the audits for high income earners and audits where they seem fraudulent. And I think those are the big ones that you guys need to pay attention to if those apply to you. All right.